Hi, I'm Jyn Yates. I'm here with Gloria, one of my drum students, and I wanted to make a real quick video with Gloria because, Gloria, tell us a little bit about your hand surgery.
Well, I had trigger finger, and so they cut because of it impacted several fingers, a couple of fingers. They cut all the way across the palm here.
Mm.
So that got a couple of stitches, 4 stitches, I think, is all it took. But um,
And not to mention, this is not the first hand you've had surgery on. You
it's
also
not
had
only
hand on.
surgery on this hand.
Yes, and you've been taking drum lessons with me throughout the entire thing. And we've kind of
Absolutely.
maneuvered. Yeah, and I really appreciate that. But if you don't know, Gloria is a church drummer kind of based around Oklahoma, right?
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah, and we're avoiding tornadoes all day today. In fact, the wind is
Yeah.
crazy here. I don't know if you can hear it, but we've got 65 to 80 mile per hour winds today. So craziness. But back to the hand injury. I related to you because when you first started taking drum lessons from me online, I was going through my metal cage insertion or spinal fusion, they technically call it, where I had my C5, 6, and 7 taken out, metal cage put in. And because of that, my left side was semi paralyzed for quite some time. And
Mhm.
I'm still in physical therapy 2 years plus later after the metal cage insertion. And I don't have feeling at all for these areas, but I do have motor skills. So we've been talking a lot about people paying attention to drummers that are recovering from surgeries, who have been through major injuries, and
Mhm.
who are playing with disabilities. You know, there's a lot of people out there, and drumming is so good for all of those things. Believe it or not, we both know, me and Gloria, are healing ourselves through music lessons,
Yes.
basically. Yeah, and I'm a teacher, but I'm also a student first. I always say that, and I'm still taking lessons to this day. I hope to always be a student of the drums. Um, we talked a lot about, the way that you hold sticks
Yes.
affects your hand and your palm area, especially for you. Also for me, because when I hit this area with a stick, which a lot of times is on the back end of it, when I'm playing
Mhm.
snare drum with my left hand on a drum set, that vibration against the palm really affects and inflames my nerves. So much
Yeah.
so that like my hands almost go flush, where I don't feel them hardly at all. And what I do feel on a normal is constant shocks and pain. So
Mhm.
drumming kind of takes me out of my mind for a little while, even though it's inflaming my hands as I'm playing,
Mhm.
but at the same time, it's also very helpful to get the movement back, the motor skills, my strength back, and so forth. So you can relate to that with the palm. And one thing I
Yeah.
love about you, Gloria, is that you're always open to having a lesson and letting me experiment with changing up the way that we do lessons because of our injuries.
Right.
Meaning, because you have a left hand that is injured right now, we've been focusing a lot on more like reading music and stuff. Oh, I
Yes.
disappeared. Reading music and stuff like that. There's so much when it comes to the music industry and music in general. When there's the music side and there's the business side of music. So there's a lot to put together. There's also the reading side of music, which a lot of people try to bypass, I feel like. But I love the art of reading actual music notation and writing it as well. I have a love for writing it. So I'm a big fan of that. And I thank you so much for letting me switch around our lessons to teach you
Oh,
other aspects
absolutely.
of music,
It's a happy
especially
place.
with the cajon.
Yeah.
Yeah. And why do you drum? Why do you drum? Does it
Oh,
help you mentally on a daily when you drum?
absolutely. I mean, because you hear these rhythms in your head all the time. You have to have some way to express them. And really, before lessons, it was an awkward process for me. And taking lessons have given me skills for better rhythm, for just playing different drums because um, when I first started having hand issues, I couldn't hold a stick very well. And I was just devastated by that. And you said, you have a djembe? Let's do a djembe, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, of course, yeah. And I can relate to that because of I grew up playing traditional. I've almost had to switch back. I feel more comfortable with traditional now because of the wrist movements and because I can hold my stick without dropping it.
Mm-hmm.
My injury was a spinal cord injury. So, if you know anything about spinal cord injuries, it makes your hands draw up, which mine still
Mm-hmm.
do. It makes your legs go out stiff, and it also makes you drop things
Yes.
because you can't feel your hands.
Right.
So we were just talking about how pockets, filling into our pockets. I
Yes.
can't
Yeah.
feel what's in my pockets still two
Right.
years after, there are things that we don't think about, on a daily basis as drummers when it comes to playing in our body. But if our body is not
Mhm.
healthy, then our playing suffers, obviously. So
Right.
whether it be mental, physical, emotional, all the way around, spiritual, in my opinion.
Yes.
Um,
Yes.
but yeah, there are so many different things that you can learn, and music, again, the one thing that I love about music, and we're going to end on this, is that you'll never know everything there is to know about music. It's a
That
constant learning system.
it is.
And
And
I never worry about students because they always come back to me years later and go, "Hey, I want to learn again." Go ahead.
well, I was going to say, if you remember, you've also been with me through eye surgery when I
That's
couldn't,
right.
they wouldn't let me play at all for, the eye surgery took place over a month. And then really for probably a total of 6 to 8 weeks, they wouldn't allow me to play drums. And
That's
when I
right. I
was
remember.
out, yeah, and I was going, well, when can I play drums? Every doctor's appointment. When can I play my drums? When can I play my drums? And this one female physician said, "Does your heart rate go up when you play drums?" And I went, "Absolutely." And she goes, "That's why you can't play
100%.
drums."
I love that.
But I had lessons the entire time,
Yes, you did.
so because you worked
And
with me on rhythm and reading and
yeah,
just all kinds of
if
stuff.
you can't
So
see, you work on your hearing. That's the
yeah,
number one thing a musician has to be good at is
yeah,
listening
yeah,
and blending and knowing when, when you're playing music, you're not talking.
yes, yeah.
Right. We're reading nuances from each other as a bandmate or so forth. But again, back to that whole thing about, if you can't see, we move it to this. If your
Hmm.
left hand is injured, we move it to let's work on the right or let's work on the
Hmm.
feet, right?
Right.
And there's been so many students that I've had over the years that were either on the spectrum or I've had patients with clients with fibromyalgia,
Hmm.
lots of um, arm issues. I've had a student that was mute that didn't speak.
Hmm.
I've even taught an elderly man with brain cancer and
Hmm.
with no memory whatsoever. So I've had a lot of really great experiences teaching in that department. And I
Hmm.
feel like we are the poster children for drumming and health.
Yeah.
All
Yeah.
right, I'm Jyn Yates. We're going to leave it on that. Gloria, thank you for doing this
You
little
bet.
interview with me about injuries and drummers. And you all keep us in mind out there. There's a lot of drummers playing with disabilities, and it's a very physical uh, instrument to play. But I do want to leave it at this as a teacher. You can have melody. You cannot have a melody without a rhythm, but you can
Right.
have a rhythm without a melody. So when it comes to the two foundational parts of music that make up every song we hear, whether it be melody or rhythm, rhythm is the most important. I encourage everybody to take lessons and get better. I do the same myself. Signing off, Jyn Yates and Gloria. Okay, so Gloria, I'm just going to stop the recording,
Okay.
and that'll